we go. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back for part 14. This is going to be our longest part yet. Before we're going to do a recap. So, of course, it's me and Stephanie in the room as always.
Hello.
So, Stephanie, do you remember 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago?
Okay, so I'm going to give my best shot because I did not watch the last episode.
That's okay. We've been kind of staggering on putting them out.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's recap.
All right, so
all the way from the beginning now.
Oh God. Okay.
So we're at part 14.
So the Rafflesia is a wood elf of like the Sparrow tribe. She was like herding some goats or deer, some such, to the city to sell them, and then go back to doing whatever forest elves or whatever wood elves do, which I haven't quite yet. Anyway, she gets separated. She's like, "Yo, guys, not cool. What the fuck?" She gets rounded up and sent to the job office.
Yep, you get IDs made of you and everything.
And they're like, "All right, so what do you want to do?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I could be on a farm somewhere." They're like, "Yeah, I don't fucking think so." So there's also this little old lady that hired me to go get some papers from town called Twains. And all right, cool. So a wizard comes along. His name is Isaac. He looks like Rasputin, but if Rasputin had hair. Just as sketchy, just as, you know?
Yep, so you guys made it down the river.
And the orc asked if I could put some flowers on his family's grave. And I'm like, absolutely.
Nope, he asked you to put flowers on Lady Twain's family.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. So we go on the boat. They're like, "Oh, well, it'll have to be this rope that you go up and..."
So you guys climb the rope.
We go into town, and it's like, okay, this is kind of weird. Let's keep going. And there's like a weird doll that kind of saw us and giggled and ran off. Okay, so Rafflesia was scared about that. They pass the graveyard, and they hear stuff. Before they attack, they realize, hey, it's these 3 guys that are passing around Vaughn having a grand old time. So they start talking, and there's 3 bars called what, like the Lonely Wolves or some shit.
Nope.
I can't remember.
No, you don't remember what they're called. It's the Vampires 3.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Or Underdink Express.
Yeah, there we go. Underdink Express. So the Underdink Express is there, and it's these 3 guys. It's Tuffy, Blaine, and I have this written down in my notes. Tuffy, Blaine, and
Iggy.
Iggy, yeah. I put ugly. I don't know why. Anyway, I don't remember what most of them look like, but I do know that one of them looks like Vanilla Ice, straight from the early 90s. But he wears a weird white glove. We don't know the purpose of that glove.
No, you've seen the purpose.
Oh, I know. I'm just trying to like foreshadow.
Nope. Go. You've seen it all.
Yeah, so, you know, he's wearing a glove. No one knows what it's for at first. And they're like, okay, well, they start talking about something. I can't remember what. And then they pass the bong around. Rafflesia eats a nugget. And she has a transcendental experience. But I don't remember what it was.
So when you had that experience, and I'll pick it up from here since I remember everything a little more better than you do. No offense. So basically, when you ate the huge nugget of marijuana, they did not tell you that it was laced with something called ghost sight. So ghost sight basically causes you to see things that aren't there, that may have been there, or you may be actually seeing ghosts. You don't really know, because that's the nature of the drug.
Mm-hmm.
So they put it on weed so they can be able to smoke it. And basically you tripped. You all wandered away from them, and you started exploring the city a little more under the influence. Right. And it led you to a section of the city called the Baker's Corner, where there was this big, huge triangle-shaped chimney. This triangle-shaped chimney, basically when you encountered it, like you had saw a hallucination where you had seen the This is how we know he's not enough like that. He's smelling at the door. I'm sorry, Azzy. Still go outside again, please. So basically, when you were under the influence, you saw a plague doctor shoving bodies inside bags inside the oven to cremate them. And then shortly after that, like the effects ended and you were attacked by one of those bags. And there turned out to be about 3 of them. You and Ibis engaged in combat with them, and then later were joined by the Underdake Express, who, had heard some commotion going on. I was like, oh, well, what the fuck is going on? So they came and they joined your party as well. And then you guys basically bed it down so that you could be able to get some rest and so Ibis could read the spells and be able to change out his spells. It was during that time that you all found out that there are things moving about inside the town. You all formulated a plan using basically you and one of the other, I think it was you and Tuff, basically wandered out as bait along with Ibis's familiar Sigus, who was flying above you. Now, when all this was going on and everything, you all had ran into something that looked like a pile of rats, and it turned out to be a goblin. Unfortunately, you were a little bit more tougher than the goblin, so you slaughtered him in one hit, and his dying scream was "not dead thems," and hit the ground. Shortly after that, you guys had wandered off to basically move on in the city, and you came across Twain Gardens, where you had a should I be Tenchu stealth assassin moment of climbing trees inside a walled garden that was lined by trees.
Well, I mean, I've had a Naruto moment.
The experience of having party members who don't have dark vision or low light vision, but yet you do. That was another interesting moment as well. You guys made your way basically into a haberdashery shop. Or no, first, before the haberdashery shop, you went into a store that basically sold musical boxes and automatons and things like that. Little gear keepsakes and everything. And then after that, you wandered into basically Jim's Tailoring, which is like a haberdashery for women. So there were fancy dresses that were rotted on mannequins and everything. Nothing that could really be usable. A lot of awesome. No, you're good. So then from there, you guys. Oh, that's right. You guys had also stopped at the temple.
Oh yeah.
So you've seen the temple inside the town. So you know that's not a very safe spot. So you, under the guise of helping the Underdake Express finish some mission that they were sent on a long time ago and never really had the skills, but now they do, have embarked on finishing, which is to break into Alcher's museum and steal some of the magic relics that Alcher had gained from different
That's the question I really truly had.
Oh, well, it's going to have to wait now.
Damn it, no!
So you basically came across these. Oh, that's right. And
damn it.
So let's see. You went into the museum and you were going to try to help steal these items. You encountered a golem. It let out a large roar and took off through the museum, causing a large amount of sound. And then when you guys went into the museum to carefully scout it out, you found that you went upstairs and you found a magical compartment, or a hidden compartment that was open with a switch and a lever. And using the said switch and lever, you managed to access Alcher's private office. You bed it down in there for a little while, and you learned that Alcher had been trapped in the museum when the plague outbroke. His plan was to transfer his conscience into a golem and then wander out of the city without ever being affected by the plague. You learned from his diary that unfortunately this plan did not go as he thought it would. Instead, he ended up with a wax duplicate of himself. And the wax duplicate is incredibly mad, it seems, over time. Maybe it has something to do with them having the same personalities, maybe something tied to the soul.
When did that wax mannequin die?
As far as you know, there was no listing within that diary that it did.
All right, so that leads is perfectly into my question that I'm so glad I wrote down.
Okay, so then progressing into that a little further. So you being the voice of reason because you wanted to know what Alcher's wax copy looked like, you had learned through reading the journal that he had a relationship with one of the other town residents who owned a doll shop. I believe that was Lady Anne's dolls.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So when you guys went to the doll shop, let me see here because I can open a lot of this. I should probably be saving that since that's good. So let's see here. So yeah, you went to Lady Anne's House of Dolls. So when you went to Lady Anne's House of Dolls, you had seen the way that her house is basically looked like a multifaceted gem was taken and put on front of a steeple roofed house. Mm-hmm. The shop was moldy and dusty, and the faint smell of something large and rotting filled the air. When you guys had broken in, one of you had to basically crawl in through a little bit of a space, which would have been one of our bard characters. Facing the door, there was a dresser that had been pushed in front of it, and you guys had pushed it the rest of the way out. It led into a large room with a deep blue curtain hanging against the far wall, and sitting in the chair was the source of the rotting smell. It was Lady Anne herself, surrounded in front by a partial half circle of dolls. And there were several dolls. There was one dressed as a bard, a barbarian, some kind of princess, and then there was the doll that you had seen that had laughed at you and walked off on that first night. There was also a doll of a jester and one of a knight as well. So you all had basically left the body and the dolls alone. You had wandered through the shop and found Lady Anne's rolling desk and managed to read her diary. You further found out confirmation that there was something moving around at night, and she provided some very interesting clues to the plague itself, that the victims on first or second night basically got up out of their beds and started attacking each other and the town guard. The town guard moved the blockade further and further into the town to try and contain those that had not been affected yet. And her last journal entries had said that they were on the other side of the Lusty Looker, and something known as a public garden space that led into the Baker's Corner. So which is probably, and if you put two and two together, which is probably why you had that vision of them burning plague bodies inside that oven. So from there, you know,
I remember we went into the Lusty Looker. Everyone else was like, no, don't step on that crate. I stepped on the crate. I had perfect sight.
Yep.
They're like, oh, no.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They're like, no. So you had been in the Lusty Looker, and you actually climbed into stepped in, when you ran into the room in the Lusty Looker, you did have a very good look on the room the view outside, with that weird bed that seems to be at hip position for some reason if you were to be standing at floor level, and a box that, just conveniently allows nobody to see but your face and not your hands. So there was that. So you all had gone upstairs because in the journal Alcher's journal, there was a mention of a painting of him and Lady Anne. You went upstairs and you went to go find the painting, and instead saw the face was torn off the painting or ripped off. And in the wood underneath, the words, "It's my face now," was carved in it crudely. From there, you guys went back to Alcher's House of History, which it took you about an hour and a half. Once there, you locked yourselves back into his office, and it wasn't long before you heard movement inside the museum, and you were surprised by a small figure that popped out of the hatchway, and you all had engaged in combat with. After only about 2 rounds of combat, the creature dropped, and it dropped something that looked like a scimitar that basically had been thinned down and had serrated edging on one side of it that, you know how the front side of the sword is the cutting blade? That was the side that the serrated edging was on. And not only that, but you had found out that one of your party members has a boss that has sent him here to collect these magic items. And he seems, and by the way, that's tough. That was, it's Iggy has a boss, and he has said that he works for the crown somehow. The other 2 members of Underday Express, which they had an argument earlier in the alchemist shop while y'all were bedded down, and you heard them arguing, have, they have their own secrets. You found out why Blaine had the glove on, the Michael Jackson one glove.
Yeah.
Because apparently the center of his hand is cut out. And it's not necessarily cut out as it's shaped as if a heart impression is taken out of his hand. You also find out that Iggy is a member of the... No, wait a second here. Let me see. So Tuff is a cleric of Weejoss. And he is actually one of their low members. So everybody's secret has kind of been put out into the open. So it's no surprise when Iggy takes the weapon and folds it into a cloth and puts it into a bag. Nor is it a mystery that, whoever he's doing business with knows a lot of secrets of the town. He also has a magic item, which is a figurine of delivery, which you've seen that he's been in contact with somebody. Let me see, what else is there? So when we left off, without jumping around anymore, so now I think I've got everybody caught up. When we left off, you heard a voice calling out, "Come out and play!"
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So that's where we'll pick up. Did you remember what dice you needed, or you got access to the box there?
I've got access to the box.
Okay, so the 2 open doors that you have, you notice for a while there's somebody that's been missing.
Uh-oh.
Well, I mean, all of you are here, but there's one creature that's missing, I should say, that you haven't seen in a little while.
Where's your familiar, Ivan?
So no sooner do you ask that Ibis of where his familiar is, you see Sigus crawl out of one of the wall panels that's open. And he goes, boss, we got problems. Because there's all kinds of people headed towards the museum. Because I hope you guys are ready for a fight.
I believe so.
He goes, then stay here, I found a door. And you see Sigus, like his little imp self, he flies up, he goes to the little door, he goes to that little hatchway, and you hear him pulling something, and he pulls a rope. And he pulls a rope out, and he says, "Hey, what do you guys want to pull this since you're a little bigger?"
I guess I'll do it.
Okay, so give me a D20 strength check. You don't have to roll anything like really fucking crazy or anything.
I have a 15.
So 15, and then your strength modifier is... I have a copy somewhere there.
Strength modifier is +3. That's an 18.
Okay, so when you're pulling the rope, all of a sudden you hear something move. You hear a click, and you see stairs drop out of the, or see, not stairs, but it's a ladder that drops out of the ceiling, and there's a little space upstairs where it has fallen out of that's open and it's dark.
All right. So you want to go up there?
So your 4 companions look at you and they go, yeah, you want to go first? What order? Well, we better hurry.
I guess I'll go first.
Okay. So you basically like crawl into this space that's full of cobwebs. Mm-hmm. It's big enough for a human being. Like it's actually big enough for 2 people to like crawl shoulder to shoulder. Mm-hmm. Now the crawl space ends up leading into like, you see that there's like a wall vent or something that's up ahead of you. What do you do, my friend?
Well, I want to find out where that wall vent leads to.
Okay, so you crawl up to the wall vent and you look in, and you're actually looking like, remember how we said the museum was 2 stories?
Yeah.
So okay, so when you have that first story and the second story is all bookshelves and stuff. So what you're seeing is like you're seeing a writing desk in the distance, and like you see a whole bunch of bookshelves and stuff. So it looks like this just leads upstairs, and it doesn't give you a view of where, what's in the room or anything.
I don't know, guys. I see a desk and I see a bunch of bookshelves. Do we want to go?
But you're pretty much at floor level. Yeah. So if you were to crawl out, you'd be crawling out onto the floor.
All right. So I guess I'll, take a look inside the room and crawl out.
Okay, so you crawl. When you go to crawl out, you notice that there's a catch. So you actually have to sit there and like flip a little lever thing in order for the great work to move for you to crawl out. So it has something to secure it, basically. You don't need to roll or anything, but I'm just letting you know that, there is, like, I'm not saying that something horrible is going to happen, and I'm not saying that it's not going to happen, but if you need it to, for whatever reason, and you need to come running back into this room, and you were to slide through this grate, that you have a way to be able to lock it behind you.
Yeah.
So it looks like basically this was a bolt hole or something that, Outre may have originally designed into his museum. He may have been a very interesting person.
All right, well, I'm going to try to unlock it and go in.
Okay. So when you unlock it and go in, you're basically just walking into the library upstairs. There's nothing really that's like, ooh.
There's nothing that's gonna pop up and.
No. Instead, you're standing in the middle of a dusty library, and you notice that you can actually, like, the library shelves, you can actually see through them. So yeah. So when you look through the room, like you see one of those large golems, or you see the large golem, I should say.
Yeah.
That you all had originally encountered, where it was like, holy fucking shit. Instead, it's standing there on the other side, and it's not moving or anything.
Oh shit! All right. Well, I don't know what I don't know what's gonna set that thing off again, though.
Yeah.
I mean, someone takes a step inside, I would do somebody or something, and that could set the golem on, and we'd have to fight that thing again.
There you go.
So I'm gonna be like, all right. So I'm gonna go in the room, and then I'm gonna lean down and whisper, "Hey, I see the golems in here. It's not activated. Let's be stealthy, okay, guys?"
So when your other party members crawl in and you guys are looking through the shelves, like, you see the golem standing there, and then you see this gentleman. He's how to be able to put it correctly. Like, he's not wearing fancy clothing, but they're clothing that is supposed to give you the like the feeling like he's somebody important.
I see.
Like, you can't hear them, but you see him gesturing, and then you see a naked human woman covered in blue paint follow him, and then behind them there is a. You've already killed one of them. Yay! There is a knight in black armor.
Oh, okay.
And like it's full plate armor.
I remember this from last time. Those are the people that have like the artifacts attached to them or whatever.
Yes, that you've been told about.
So okay.
So they stand there for a few minutes and then they're arguing, or they seem to be gesturing. You can't really. It's very hard to make it out because of that lack of sound.
Yeah.
In fact, let's see here because I think only one of us really have. So as you're standing there for a few minutes, nope. Although y'all could just try to give me crazy ass wisdom rolls and see if you can read lips.
All right.
Or it's more an intelligence.
Now I got a 9.
Oh, nobody got anything worth writing home about anyway. So this is just going to be a conversation that you guys are going to miss out on then. So after a few minutes of this going on, you see the knight and the naked woman march off in one direction. The giant golem like pulls a bookshelf aside, and like the other two go in it. The golem turns around, slides the bookshelf, or no, excuse me. The important looking man goes in by himself. The barbarian and the knight have walked off. The golem slides the bookshelf closed and then walks off in a different direction.
All right.
And no sooner do you see this happen, do all of a sudden like you see like 2 or 3 goblins. You see them up on top of the bookshelf through your invisible bookshelf. You see 2 or 3 goblins, and there's a kobold with them, and they're sneaking into the museum. And no sooner do you see that, they slip out of sight. Actually, if you want to give me a spot check, if you have spot, or do that perception. You know what? What's your like? Okay, this is the way that I figure my new wisdom, my new perception skill will work, so that we can put search and spot back on the sheets.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like? Do you have search or spot as class skills? Probably not. I think it is a barbarian class, but just give me a d20 roll.
All right, I'm gonna get one, guys. That one is not open up. Here we go. I got an 11.
So 11, and then your wisdom's a what?
My wisdom is
I think you have a
+2.
So
13.
So 13. What's your wisdom score actually? What's the actual score? I thought that. Not the plus to it.
Oh, my actual wisdom is 12.
Okay, so you said you rolled a what?
I rolled a 13.
So you rolled a 13, and if we hack that, so what you notice that they slip with that score. Basically, the way we'll work it out is take your wisdom score, it's half of it, and then add it to that d20 roll.
Okay.
So that's the way that we'll do it. So we'll take, and then I'll use search and spot just for certain games then. Okay. So don't mind me then. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So what you notice that they slip in between the bookshelves, and then they disappear into the shadows. So while you have a nice roll, you have to remember they're small creatures, and they have their own skills. So they disappear quickly into the shadows within the library.
No, I can't even ask my question at the moment because it's not the right time. Damn it. Anyway, so you guys think we should go after this thing?
So you see Iggy go, hey, there's a switch over here.
Oh,
and
okay.
it looks exactly like that switch you saw before. Not a vertical like switch or anything, but it's just that lever where you turn it and it looks like it would open something.
All right.
Okay, so when you open it and you go back in, like another bookshelf opens and it leads you out into the book stacks.
All right. So we gotta watch out for the goblins.
Whee!
I have a feeling we're gonna fight them anyway, but you know that. I guess we should try to see if we can find anything useful in here, you know?
Okay, so define anything really useful, because are you just looking to see what's in the rooms as far as
Yeah, like if there's any useful information or like anything that any like kind of clues that to like what's going on with this shit, you know?
now you remember the diary pertained a lot to it.
Yeah.
Now you know that he set up a security system that these figures may be a part of. So there's that. Now, you know, one of the things like I'll point out as your DM, one of the, you have that option of trying to capture somebody, or you can, because like, give me a couple of rolls. Well, let's see what we can do out of that. Here, let's get you some pillows so you don't have to keep leaning back and shut.
All right. I am all pillowed up.
All right, good. As that is. The ottoman turned on the side is not a problem.
Hello.
So what's your roll?
Okay. I got a 6. I got a 12. This.
Okay, so
it's
you're having a waffle crew moment.
It doesn't have any balance. You roll or nothing.
I don't know. Do you wish to use my magic table?
I'll use the corner of your magic table and do this 3 rolls again.
This is like the corner of your magic table.
Alright, so that doesn't count for balance.
I don't have to scream because most of the shit's
3.
in my fucking head
Damn it. 3.
Man.
No.
So you got nothing.
I got nothing.
Which is good because you know what? Like your dice rolls only confirm what you and your allies pretty much come to a quick solution of, is that there's no real information to glean as far as like what are you trying to figure out, like as far as the situation going on, like
so I
like
think
who those figures are, or
who those figures are.
Okay.
Just Alter in general, maybe anything about the cancer maze that I have not forgotten about.
Okay, so what?
And the question that I have that I can finally ask is Alter associated with the cancer mage?
Nope. Not that you know of at this time.
Okay.
Like you would have to do a lot better rolls than you did there.
I know.
To even start getting close to an answer to that.
Probably to even ask the question.
But
I, as a player, I'm like, you guys have to understand.
Your brain is fried now.
Hush up.
I think you pointed this out before. I
asked a lot of like lore questions and, what about this type of dealio? I play games like, like Skyrim or Morrowind, one of those types that has a lot of lore. I want to know more about the world. I want to know more about Morrowind. So that's why I asked these lore questions. Mommy, where do baby dragons come from? Well, when a mommy dragon and a
No, that's a lie. It's a dirty, dirty lie. They come from Vegas.
They go deep into a volcano.
And they make boom boom, and the volcano pops out as a dragon.
3 years later, the dragon egg hatches, and it's a little baby dragon.
Okay, so.
And they're all born with 1 gold coin.
Back on to the insanity. So, in order to answer your question about who they are, your roles and your even though your intelligence is low, the best place to start with that is in the museum itself.
All right.
So you would quite literally have to walk around and see where there are empty pedestals.
I'd have to go and visit the museum.
Yes.
And that would probably take like 3 or 4 hours.
Which means going downstairs. in a chance encounter with creatures.
That could possibly, kill me in one hit, possibly.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe
I
not.
don't know. But so
They would definitely give it to me.
that's where the answer of,
Or, I could ask the party member, hey, can you guys please tell me about who these people are? Why they were important?
So if you were to ask your party members, like they, off just seeing them for a few minutes without any real background information, they really wouldn't be in a better position to give you any clues than you are to give them clues, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So basically, whatever they're these figures of history. If Yudari was here, she'd be freaking out and trying to know all the answers.
Yeah. So that would conclude a trip to the museum, which your party members, I believe that Ibis would be the one to tell you that perhaps in order to figure out who these figures are, we would need to walk through a museum and find the empty pedestals.
Yeah, I don't think we have time for that though.
He goes, no, a small museum.
True.
He goes, besides, to find the good things, we have to look around, right?
That's true. All right. Yeah, let's do that. Be on guard. There's shit everywhere.
Okay, so when you are searching around, basically, and you start to come, so let's look at my map again.
My lovely map.
As I do the shadow.
I see a kitty.
I see testicles.
I see kitty.
Cats are only there to lure you into a false sense of security, and then it's death. Horrible, horrible death. That's right, just like that.
Who's fighting?
It is actually Galaxy and the kitten playing. Or no, sorry, it's Azzy and the kitten playing. So when you go back downstairs, you go down those 13 steps, back out into the main hallway. So you would have to hang a sharp left and go into the history hall to really start looking. Or you could just go back into the wax portion and wander back around the backside.
All right. So I think we should go the first way.
Okay. So when you go through the history portion, you give me a d20 roll.
I got 11.
Okay. So within a few minutes, you hear Blaine's voice go, "Hey guys, over here." And he's separated from you guys a little way, and he is indeed standing in front of an empty pedestal. Since you are able to read, this is what you see written on the plaque. Let me see, which one should we make this? It says Teledor the Black. And you see that there's like a slot or something, like a mannequin's hand, where there may have been a piece of armor or like a helmet or something setting on it. Something that you would wear on your head.
Yeah.
And it shows a painting behind the figure where there is a large figure in a black armor and it's drenched in blood.
Whoa.
And you see there's a whole bunch of halfling and gnome corpses scattered around him.
Oh shit.
So there's not really much of a history as to who or what his deeds were. Apparently within the kingdom, since you're an outsider, it's one of those things that maybe it's like a horrible, like the Nazis in Germany. It's not talked about. You know what I mean? Now, Cat Fury. So there's no explanation or really anything about Teledor the Black. Only it appears that Teledor the Black was some kind of genocidal maniac. Maybe he didn't like gnomes and halflings that much.
So I'm having a moment just petting this kitty.
No, cat distraction. So
did he leave a cultural imprint on like the gnomes and halflings? Like would Yunari know who that is? And
Yunari would know, and Yunari would have nightmares.
I see. Well, I can't wait to ask questions. Should that name pop up in a different campaign?
Okay. So within a few minutes later, you hear somebody. You hear Tuff say that he's found like another empty pedestal, and this one is where it says Balin the Mad. And like there's a picture of a woman, like there's a painting of a woman behind the empty pedestal, completely nude, and she has like a belt of human heads, severed heads around her waist. Like it's a belt.
I'm gonna write naked, belt of human heads.
And there's a plaque that says Balin the Mad or Balin the Bloodthirsty. And it basically states that she was, nobody really knows the meaning or the reason why or what caused her to go mad, only that this barbarian had basically gone on a killing spree.
Oh, okay.
And apparently it was bad enough to be mentioned as like some kind of horrible monster.
So would Rafflesia recognize that name?
Not really. Not at all, actually, because you don't. Do you have any knowledge history or anything?
Let me check.
Or knowledge local?
No.
You don't, do you?
No.
So I will interrupt this moment of no to tell you that while you are sitting here exploring this small section of the room, because remember it's connected to other parts of the room, you start hearing the sounds of combat.
Oh.
So, what do you do?
Hold on one.
I rush in screaming, Leroy Jenkins, and wave my genitals at the monster.
All right. So,
oh my God, no!
What?
They made another Goosebumps movie.
I know. I see you picking your paw, kitty. Anyway, Raphlesia's gonna go over there with her throwing axes handy, ready to throw them at somebody's head.
Yeah. So, this is what you'll come up into. So when you basically walk into this combat, you see the naked barbarian woman is fighting those goblins and kleebolds that you saw slip into the museum.
Oh shit! What am I witnessing? Like,
so what's your
does it look like they're going to attack me, or am I just, if I stay very still, don't make a sound, they're not going to notice me and they're going to carry on?
Yeah, I hate to interrupt the speed, but I'm like looking here and I'm seeing the SJW freak out from Vampire the Fifth Ed being too fucking edgy for people. Oh my God, sorry, but what you basically walk into, no, the goblins and kleebolds have their back to you. You're not really, you're not really a line of sight.
I know I have hide.
And nor would you really be like line of sight for the barbarian woman, because she seems to be more focused in on these four creatures that are in front of her.
Damn, I don't have hide, but can I roll for it anyways? I wouldn't see that.
So, well, give me a d20 roll. -10 to that roll.
No.
What'd you roll?
I got 5. Oh my god.
So
no.
Raflusha thinks she's gonna hide, but instead, like,
No.
you think you can hide behind this tapestry, and like, it's a good idea. It can give you a good viewpoint. But when you rush to hide behind the tapestry, you didn't notice that there was a suit of armor behind the tapestry,
God.
which like suddenly like falls to the floor and like fills the room with sound and automatically like turns all attention to you. And like you turn around and there's like 4 like Ibis is like Iggy is like halfway has like this look on his face. He's got a sword. He's getting ready to pull a sword, and everybody's just like you walked in on 2 people having sex, and they're flustering to get clothes on. Is pretty much the situation that you have caused now. So give me a roll of the d20.
Oh my god! Good job. Oh, 4 dice, whatever. I got a 4.
That's okay, because you weren't the only person to get a 4.
Well, you guys in the underworld. Sorry.
Kat, is there a reason why you're sitting here?
You guys, I want to get on my hand. You was all like cat roasting up and stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Is that why you made him move?
Yeah, I gotta keep him on his toes. God damn it. Give me a second here. All right, so let me pause. Well, we're at 47 minutes, so we're doing pretty good here. Okay, let's get out the scrap paper.
That was fucking great, dude.
You're welcome. Your roles make everything possible.
Yay.
It's storytelling, bitches.
Good job.
So you remember that's what characters who are trained and skilled are there for. Cause these moments. People being like, "Oh, I'm gonna have a conversation with a dragon." You have ranks in persuasion? No, just roll for it though. Doom. A 4, a 6, a 13, a 12, a 15, and what did you roll? A 4?
Yeah.
So we'll basically just add this out. Do you have improved initiative?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that adds 4 to it, which makes it an 8.
All right.
Let me see.
All right. So I'm gonna be feeling it real soon, Mr. Krabs.
All right, so
These are so good. I ate the entire package.
that's actually a good sign. You know what I mean? That means they were too good to leave in the package. Okay, so then you remember to add your dexterity modifier, right? That goes into your thing as well.
Oh yeah, that's +4.
So it changes a lot of the numbers around here. 8. I'll tell you why we're doing the math here in a second.
All right. I look forward to it.
So the results of you in the suit of armor knocking over. So this is the way that it's going to go. So you had a 6. You had a 12 when everything was rolled up. You're at a 6 now.
Okay.
So everybody's numbers basically get sliced in half.
Why?
Because it's called surprise.
Oh my god. Oh, that's where the scissors are. Where does it belong?
Yep.
Do you guys have a pizza nail?
I don't think we do.
Ow, that was so.
Okay, so what will end up happening is the 4 combatants that are in combat already, they will break apart, and the barbarian will, since it is her turn, and you guys have basically wandered into their combat. That's why I had you happen as well, because normally it's just roll your initiative minus your dexterity modifier.
Yeah.
So when you stumble into a fight and stuff, like it's like, oh, you go for halvesies is the way that I do it. That way it allows the original combat to follow through. They get a re-roll and it resets everything. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So you see this barbarian, she ends up killing one of the kobolds, and in another swipe, one of the kobolds like end up nicking her. You see that she doesn't bleed. Like, in fact, he actually hacks her with a sword and doesn't bleed. So she takes a little bit of damage from them, and over the excessive turns, like, you know, like, basically, they whack, she kills one of them, and then, like, 3 of them injure her. And then, starting from the beginning of the top, it will be Ibis. You hear Ibis start chanting.
Uh-oh.
And then it is Blaine's turn. Blaine has to draw a weapon. Then it is Iggy's turn, same thing. Tough, same thing. And then your turn.
I'm gonna take my bow and axes out.
Now you already had those out, so.
Oh, all right. So, shit. I don't know if I should just, chuck one at the barbarian or, take off one of the goblins.
Well, your interaction with goblins and stuff that you've seen is that they're not always the bad guys. So.
Yeah. All right. Instead of, one-shotting that poor goblin in the corner, or in the town square, excuse me, I am gonna aim towards the barbarian.
Okay, give me a d20 roll.
One more time.
I tell you gotta use the corner of the table over here.
Wait, is this a D10? This is a D12.
Give him back my dice, please, Cat. I got a cat rolling dice.
I got 7.
Oh, we're getting your dice rolling. So, for 7, so you go to huck the axe at her, and what's your base attack bonus? It's 4.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this 4.
So, 7 plus 4.
That would be 11.
So, when you throw the axe at her, like, the axe actually sticks into her, and it doesn't go in too far. So then, she and the remaining goblins will roll initiative. Whee! High numbers are too low numbers. So what you'll see happen is she turns around and she will kill one of the goblins again. doesn't even seem to take much effort for her to kill the goblin. One of the goblins the remaining goblin will take a spear and he shoves it through her gut.
Mhm.
And you notice that it's more because she's charging him that he's able to stab her. And then the kobold that's with him, or with the goblin, shoots it with a crossbow. And it's back to the top of the order. And you will see, let's see. So when Ibis is chanting and he's done, you'll see a bolt of acid or this green energy form hit the barbarian, and then her skin starts the wax that she's made out of starts bubbling and hissing, and you hear her scream. And your other 3 party members, since they all have hand crossbows, they can all do ranged attacks. So you see Blaine's go wild, and it launches into the ceiling. Iggy and Tuff managed to hit her, and then I think hand crossbows 1d. No, it's 1d6. Oh, I got 2d6s here. I'm sorry. All right, and then it's your turn. Now remember, you have melee weapons too, so. Or you could be able to use another one of your hand axes.
Why don't I just take out my gun though?
Do that as well.
Which is what I'm gonna do. I cannot leave that. Damn it. 1d10. Well, I'm gonna aim at her because, if we can help Ibis's weird magic melt that thing, then, you won't have to worry about that anymore. And maybe that's one of those things that has the item associated with it.
Okay.
So if we, shoot it full of holes, the acid magic will go in those holes. Question, profit. So let's do it.
All right. So give me a roll.
D10, right?
I believe that the bone bow is.
Yeah. I don't know if that's. Is this the right one?
Yeah.
All right, so I got a 0.
So it is a 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you see end up happening is when you draw your bow and you draw your arrow, it actually theoretically takes a full turn, or it's half a turn action, but we'll skip that and let you be able to do it. Just keep that in mind. Drawing a weapon is considered a action for your turn, which is why some of your party members don't get anything off the first round, but we'll go ahead and allow it. Just to hurry things along, and we'll come to a stopping point here at the hour mark. So you end up shooting the barbarian, and when you shoot the barbarian, the arrow goes through her head, and the wax that she's made out of, it separates the head from the body. So this wax head goes flying across the room and sticks into a wall, and the mannequin body lurches around for a few seconds and then drops.
Wow.
And no sooner does that happen than the remaining kobold and goblin fade back into the shadows, and you hear the sounds of pitter-patter feet.
All right, guys. This is how that one solved.
Yeah, and that's where we'll leave this one off.
This pizza is so fucking good.
Good.